Within the week, a former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, issued a statement and questioned the intention of President Bola Tinubu for directing State Oil Corporation, NNPCL, to commence the submission of crude oil sale receipts to Central Bank of Nigeria. In the statement, Atiku described the directive as illegal and that it undermines the operational independence of the National Oil Company. Atiku, who was the former presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, said that whatever may be the merits of Tinubu's action on this matter stands to violate the legal status of the NNPCL. Well, for answers now, we turn to Liborous Oshoma, a lawyer and public affairs analyst, regarding what the law says and what sort of arrangement in between can be best for the recovery of Nigeria's economic well-being at this point in time. Good morning, Liborous. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, then let's get straight into it. We're seeing this statement from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and he's contending that President Tinubu's directive violates the legal status of the NNPC established under the Petroleum Industry Act in 2021. Could you provide some insights into the specific provisions of the PIA that safeguards the NNPC's operational independence and financial control?
Thank you. I would have expected that Atiku will cite the relevant section that this directive violated, because I'm looking at some sections of the PIA here, and I can't find any that this directive had violated. I would stretch it a bit further so that people will understand, our viewers will follow. The crude oil belongs to the Federation. It's not NNPC's crude oil. It is for the federal government, the state and the local government, and the people of Nigeria. Right from time immemorial, there are two crude oil proceeds. One is local consumption, one is crude oil for exports. Right from time immemorial, the proceeds of crude oil export had been domiciled with the CBN. It is called the NNPC CBN account. That's why if you're buying crude oil from Nigeria, let's say you're buying crude oil from Nigeria from abroad, you take out a letter of credit from one of those banks. I think they used to use Midland Banks, Credit Suisse, even Switzerland National Bank, and all of that. You take out a letter of credit, and NNPC will verify this letter of credit to ensure that the money is available to the federal government. NNPC does not see this money. The money is domiciled with the CBN, and then it is paid before you can even lift the crude. That has been the process right from time immemorial. And then for the local crude, you remember we have 445,000 barrels per day for local and domestic consumption, which NNPC was supposed to refine and sell and give the proceeds to Nigerian government. So when Ibe Kachukwu came in as NNPC GMD, you can fact check these things, he applied to the government of President Muhammadu Buhari to increase that local domestic quantity for domestic consumption from 445. And it was increased, despite the fact that NNPC was not producing, refining locally. And so, when they refine, at the end of the day, they sell, and the proceed is domicile. Is domiciled with NNPC, and NNPC will in turn now remit to the federal government, will account to the federal government. That was why during President Jonathan's time, you heard Sanusi consistently shouting, Desiani this, Desiani that, and the president then had to conduct or invite independent auditors to audit the NNPC accounts. That was the last time we audited an NNPC account. But today, it's like NNPC has so much funds, NNPC does not know. We don't know how much NNPC is owing Nigeria. Nigeria does not know how much is owing NNPC. Recently, in 2022, NNPC came up with an audited statement of account. And in this audited statement of account, there are a whole lot of gaps. Ask financial accountant, they will tell you all of this. Today, NNPC is a limited liability company like ExxonMobil, like Chevron and the rest. And NNPC is supposed to be regulated by a regulator in Nigeria like every other private operator. So what you have is a situation where NNPC had so much funds and then they leave their core mandate and begin to engage in NGO activities, construction of roads, building of hospitals, which are not their core mandate. So this directive, really, it's to account for the proceeds of local consumption, if at all. If at all. Nigerians still think that the local consumption we have is 445,000 barrels per day. It is above that, and nobody is asking questions. And now that we are talking about non-availability of forex, recently NNPC went to source for $3.3 billion from Afrexim Bank. The question you will ask yourself is, why is NNPC not sourcing for dollar for a federal government, a private company sourcing for dollar for a private company? Why is ExxonMobil not sourcing for dollar for the federal government? Why is NNPC sourcing for dollar in a bank when they could have engaged trading companies, at least it's for product sale, commodity sale? Why are you sourcing for dollar from a bank when you can engage trading company that will buy your product upfront and pay? And you wouldn't even have to pay interest or pay cost of fund, all this cost of funds, $65 million that were paid away. So, and then also, the next question would be, this $3.3 billion that we have sourced for, since last year when Naira was less than $1 to, less than 1,000 Naira to $1, how much has that money helped the Naira today? So I think it's against all of this backdrop that we should leave all of these political statements and look at the law strictly. The directive by the federal government, by the president, is what has been on ground, and also to ensure proper accounting for NNPC and the proceeds that accrues to the federal government. It is not an illegal directive. And then also, I want to commend the president, even though I'm not a fan of the president, because of all of this suffering. I like the decision of the federal government has taken also on this Malibu oil transaction to resolve all of the issues so that Nigerian government can reap the benefit of that oil well. That oil well will give Nigeria 9 billion barrels of oil. And we are fighting over $1.1 billion. When in 3 months, if you sweat that oil well and it's producing 250,000 barrels to 350,000 barrels per day, you will make more than that 1.1 billion in 3 months. Why is NNPC not increasing its miserable 1.3 million barrels per day production when instead of going to take loan? So it is all of these issues that the federal government is trying to curb, that the government now decided, instead of you receiving the cost of local consumption, because a lot of people have also accused NNPC, you take out crude, all of the byproduct of the crude, you take out crude for refining abroad, you are not refining locally, because you are supposed to refine locally. And all of the byproduct of that same crude, nobody sees them, and you say it is direct purchase, direct sales agreement. So what has been happening is too much a slush fund for NNPC to deal with. Let me also ask you, why this directive is directive that I think we should take devoid of politics. All of the oil exploration the NNPC had carried out in the Chad Basin, how much have we spent? What is the value for the fund that we have expended? Have we audited it? Have we looked at all of that? Has the regulators also looked at the value, the cost of fund and the value for this exploration? Nobody is discussing all of this. And that's why, for me, it is not just a directive. The federal government should take it further by insisting that a forensic audit, an independent forensic audit, should be carried out on NNPC to ascertain how much NNPC is owing Nigeria or how much Nigeria is owing NNPC as a result of this domestic crude for domestic consumption. Because the crude for export, federal government is completely in charge of that fund. It is not domiciled in NNPC, except NNPC had changed that directive or modus operandi under Buhari.
All right, Liborous, thanks for this lengthy but very enlightening submissions. But I would like your clarity further. Yes, I do agree with you that most Nigerians applaud the directive by the president, on the remittances. But what some people are also saying is that should it be a knee-jerk sort of intervention from the president? Take, for example, you mentioned that at the time, NNPC was engaging because of so many slush funds. They were engaging in NGO activities. But CBN also was engaging in so many, NGO activities at the time.
Yes.
When there is when control is weak, when you have a powerful head, you encounter such aberrations and anomalies. But my question, straightforward is, if Atiku was not able to cite any section of the law that the president will have gone against in this directive, how do you violated? How do you react to the clear statements, previously from Mele Kyari, the Group MD of NNPC Limited? You recall, of course, that when he met with the National Assembly, where he declared that NNPC remitted 4.5 trillion into FAC accounts in 10 months, covering the period between January and October 23. He said clearly there that the role of the NNPC Limited is to conduct businesses transparently, make profit, not lose money, and pay dividends to shareholders. When you applaud the president and say that funds that ought to be domiciled with the NNPC should go to the CBN, are we not in a way, encouraging high-handedness and denying NNPC, even as a limited liability company, its role in managing its funds and being answerable to shareholders?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Let's look at Section 64. The objective of NNPC Limited shall include carry out petroleum operations on all commercial bases comparable to private companies in Nigeria, carry out similar activities including exception to Public Procurement Act, Fiscal Responsibility Act, and Treasury single accounts. NNPC Limited is to be vested as the concessionaire of all production sharing contracts, profit sharing, and risk service contracts as the national oil company on behalf of the Federation in line with its competence. And if you permit me, I can even go further. All of these are the objective of NNPC Limited in the PIA. So the question you now ask is, NNPC is supposed to carry out business. It's supposed to be a profit-oriented company.
Yes.
As a profit-oriented company, the product belong to somebody. And that product ordinarily also should yield profits to the owner. So there is a catch-22 here. So the question now is, how much has that product yield? Mele Kyari said they have paid how many billion into the Federation account. Why are we running away from auditing? An independent audit. How much is supposed to accrue to the Federation account? That should be the question, not how much you paid. How much should accrue to the Federation account? If the federation account, what should accrue to the federation account is 4 trillion, and you are paying, 200 billion, and then you come to say, I have paid money into the federation account, and so it should be applauded. I think what we should be asking is how much is involved here. We're talking about direct purchase, forward sale of crude. For example, let me give you statistics. This same NNPC, in their audited statement of account, said the direct purchase, direct sale agreement of 3.3 billion borrowing to help Nigeria at 12% interest to NNPC. 12%, calculate 12% interest on that fund. That government you are borrowing, NNPC is borrowing for government, yet you are not a lending company, but you are borrowing money for government. And because also you are a private company, that borrowing is not subject to the National Assembly scrutiny. And so you have 90,000 barrels per day of our crude oil that we go for that borrowing. And all of these are not subject to scrutiny of our National Assembly and National Assembly committees on finance. And then you have an NNPC stake of $2.7 billion in Dangote refineries. Out of that money, deposit had been made. The remaining $1.7 billion will be paid for using 300,000 barrels per day of our local crude. And so NNPC is supposed to make profit. Nigeria government is not making profits. Also, NNPC is engaged in oil exploration. It's a private company involved in oil exploration in Chad Basin. Money is being expended. Money from sale of our local crude. Local crude for local consumption here.
Sorry, please,
crude for local consumption.
Can I come in here? Can you hear me?
This account is not audited. Quickly. And at the end of the day, in the same audited account, NNPC spent 1.14 billion on repair and maintenance. 114 billion on repair and maintenance, 193 billion on transport and traveling, 267 billion on security. On the area of security, every day you say you have engaged private security to guide pipeline. But what we hear in the news every day is vandalization of the pipeline, and so you cannot even meet your quota. Initially, we had 1.8 million barrels per day oil quota. Because we couldn't meet it consistently for 8 years, it was reduced to 1.5. Yet, we still cannot meet 1.5. So at that, with all of this lackadaisical attitude, you still expect the federal government to say, go on, make profit for NNPC while the federal government is at a loss. There should be a middle ground. So the middle ground is conduct an independent and forensic audit on it, and then the proceeds that should accrue to federal government ordinarily from local sale, let's have it. So at the end of the day, give us your costs. You pay the costs, and NNPC makes profit from its cost. So you work for the money, and not just collect the money and spend it the way you like. And that should also apply to CBN. It should also focus on its core mandate. So now let me take your next question.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify something, because I believe our former Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, had said that NNPC is not it is a private limited company, but it's not a privatized company. So I was just trying to clarify that difference. And also, when you say that there is no law, no?
The company is not privatized. It's a private limited company with government holding stake and individuals also holding stake.
Yes. That's what I said.
The way the regulators, the way the regulators regulate ExxonMobil and Chevron and the rest, also that's the way NNPC should submit itself to regulation of government agencies. Because now it is no longer that government regulator that we used to know.
Yes, but
so
ideally,
that's the difference. So in regulating.
But also, the president will not be able to tell ExxonMobil to put their monies in a certain account, right? The way that he has to NNPC. If you say they are the same type of company. Yes.
Yes. If Nigerian crude for local consumption, is being sold by ExxonMobil, for example, the president can say the sale of this crude, fund for the sale of this crude should be domiciled in an account controlled by the government. And at the end of the day, when you refine for us, let me break it down in everyday man's language, we'll pay you the proceeds of refining. So when you see what NNPC has consistently been doing, they tell you under recovery. So we have crude that government has given you to refine. You do not refine it locally. You take it abroad. You bring in the end product. The byproduct of that crude, about 16 byproducts, nobody's asking the question. At the end of the day, we are fixated on PMS and diesel. And you now say, oh, because it is PMS and diesel, what we are selling it, the cost of bringing it back and the cost of sale, the differentials we are the one paying. So federal government, you don't even have anything left. So at the end of the day, we're here looking for dollar. We're looking for money. We're looking for proceeds of sale. And NNPC is busy engaging in NGOs activity. They have left their core mandates. And so the federal government is saying, look, this is my oil. This is for what I gave you to refine. So any fund coming from it, I want to have it directly, just the same way I have proceeds of the crude. And then we sit down, you give me a cost. I pay you. The government is not saying they are not going to pay NNPC the cost. But we want to be more transparent to save cost. Let's have a cost of what you have done for us. We pay. Is that not the way the business is done? Let me also give you another instance quickly. The AKK project, the AKK gas project, we say we are looking for forests. We have awarded that project to Chinese companies when we have competent Nigerian company, local company that can carry out that project. We have awarded it to Chinese companies since 2018. Till date, that job has not been concluded. Even the place where the gas is going to be taken from had not even been done. Yes, we are wasting funds. We are paying Chinese that they were supposed to bring money here. The same forest that is not there. Our, what do you call it, Office of Local Content is just there doing nothing. So all of these loopholes where we waste funds, we've been preaching plugging loopholes. Yes, it is high time we begin to plug these loopholes.
Yes.
So that at the end of the day, you don't chase after people after they have taken. You now say you are fighting against corruption. You ensure that this fund is not available for taking as they deem fit, so that it becomes easy for you to manage it. All right. That's basically what the government is trying to do. Because if at the end of the day you yield results, there's the people that will benefit from it.
All right, Liborous, I just want to draw your attention quickly to what you mentioned earlier about NNPC and the $3 billion Frexim intervention fund or loan that we got. Did I hear you right in trying to place the blame on the table of the NNPC, whereas the open letter that Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, wrote, clearly was addressing the president because there was a presidential approval for it. Wouldn't you rather the coordinating minister of the economy defend why that money has not, played the role that it was meant for, rather than, draw NNPC into it?
The question, I ask basic questions. I'm not asking only NNPC. I'm asking, why did NNPC NNPC is the one that went to borrow the loan. NNPC's core mandate is oil management and exploration. So, and then the question now is, you have commodity traders. Some of these commodity traders, Trafigura, Mercuria, Glencore, Vitol. All these are commodity traders that you have crude oil. Oh, I have crude oil for the next 10 years that I can guarantee you 900,000 barrels per day. So, but I need the money up front. The commodity traders will pay you.
Sorry, can I?
So why will NNPC advise the government? Quickly, I'm answering your question. To go source for this fund from a bank.
I believe you're
You are paying 12%.
You're saying NNPC is advising the government, but NNPC is acting on behalf of the government.
Yes.
So there is no proof that NNPC advised the federal government to take out a loan on behalf of the Nigerian people. So
no.
But I also wanted to...
No. That's where you are getting it wrong.
Where am I getting it wrong? Yes.
NNPC, the collateral for that loan is NNPC's 900,000 barrels per day. So, if the collateral for the loan, you are the one that is giving collateral for the loan, you are the one that is going to pay 12% interest, you are the one that is paying 2% cost of loan. So, what is your core mandate? As an expert, wouldn't you rather advise the government and say, this is crude that we are going to use to collateralize this money? Rather, let us deal with our traders, our trading companies. Yeah, instead of going to assess a load, and then you are paying 65 million as cost of transaction, apart from the interest. So you can't take this away from the NNPC also, whose crude is going to be used to collateralize the loan. While the federal government has its own blame, the NNPC also share a larger blame. I'm an expert. I give legal opinion. So if I give legal opinion and my client act on that legal opinion, the blame largely will be on me.
All right, Liborous, that's fine, but
what was the essence of seeking the legal opinion?
that's fine, but you know that people or a government can invest...
Sorry, Steve. It is not stated anywhere that NNPC advised against this, and the government said no.
But NNPC
also is not a borrowing or lending company.
I was just trying to say, Liborous, before we let you go, that you also know, given what you said earlier, that nobody invests $20 billion for people to process, crude. They buy, so it can't just be, for processing, like you mentioned.
Yes, and also NNPC does already have $3 billion debt with the traders that you have mentioned. But that's just what I wanted to get in, because they already do have debt with these traders that you mentioned. So we just needed more money, which is why they went to Afrexim Bank.
So
yes, thank you very much.
Sorry, quickly. Let me answer that. Sorry, quickly, please.
Just in a few seconds.
Traders,
really have to go.
That you already have. Are the traders saying we can no longer give you? Let us ask the simple question, how much is NNPC owing Nigeria? How much is Nigeria owing NNPC? It's an audit that can expose all of this. Thank you.
All right, Liborous, thank you very much. I mean, it's been enlightening, of course, heated a bit, but that's fine, Liborous. Thank you very much.